Hi, Steve Westman, live Audiophile Roundtable. We all know that we chase for the perfect pressing, and that chase never ends, it seems. But sometimes the originals just nail it in a way no reissue has ever matched it. So today we're going to talk about that. I brought a special guest in today, none other than Danny Kaye from Sonic Flare. He promised not to flare out today on me. And everyone that's watching, welcome today on this live Audiophile Roundtable Sunday morning edition. I had my coffee. I left it somewhere. That's okay though. So Danny, how are you? This is huge because I've actually had a lot of people, and this isn't a joke, I'm not trying to joke around, but who have emailed me and said, hey, why don't you get Danny Kaye on more? I'm like, shocking. I was like, my mouth dropped open. What? They want Danny Kaye on? But anyways, so this is what we've done. Danny Kaye from Sonic Flare. And people don't realize this too, Danny. You do have a fabulous collection of originals, probably one of the better collections of anyone that I know, and I know a few people. And of course, you've weaned it a little bit too through Josh from High Fidelity Records. You sold
600 out of 10,000.
So think about this, 10,000. I don't even know how many records I have. I couldn't even guess that. I mean, I know it's thousands, but not 10,000. So amazing. But we're getting a lot of people. Hey, Danny Kaye, great YouTube TV ratings. There you go. Robert Carlos, good morning. From Tim P. Howdy. Stephen, Danny, guys, welcome. We got some after. Oh, yeah, I guess so, right? Because I'm 3 hours behind.
Somebody's wearing an ascot. Oh, Chris Chouinard. How do you pronounce that name? Chouinard?
Yeah. I'm wearing my ascot too. Thanks, Christopher. Christopher, thank you so much. But I first wanted to say,
Manfred, grüß dich. Servus, wie geht's dir?
So a couple weeks ago, I had Shane Bittner on for Intervention Records, and he gave me an extra copy, a promo copy of Joe Jackson's Night and Day, which I used to call Night and Dry. So Christy Sherman, who's a loyal watcher, won it from Alaska. So she sent me a picture. There she is, there with her Night and Dry. I mean Night and Day Joe Jackson record, which sounds incredible. So Christy, if you're watching, there you go. Hope you're enjoying it. Went to Alaska, went from Vancouver to Alaska. I think it took almost 2 weeks to get there, which is crazy because it's only right up there.
Hey, post office.
What can you do? So now I think too, I mean, we're talking about originals, but the reissues, and I know we were talking about this whole reissue thing before we went live, and maybe you can go further into this as well before you show some of your originals. And I've got some ideas as well. I didn't pull all of my originals, but I have a lot that I want to talk about as well. But really, in today's mastering, we've got the Kevin Grays, the Bernie Grunmans, the Chris Bellmans, their secret sauce, their magic formula. I mean, maybe it's electronics, maybe it's their ear. I mean, that's maybe part of it as well. Plus the reissue market, right, is all about making one thing, Danny, and we both know that from watching the movie Wall Street. Greed is good.
That's right.
They want to make money, baby. Money never sleeps.
That's right.
Because the artists get more money. Their estates get more money. So the reissue market, I mean, there's a big industry. I mean, there's people that, like I said, all the master engineers, they've got families, they're making money. So I get all of that, and I am a huge proponent of the reissue industry. Obviously, I think there's a lot of great stuff going on right now, and it's really capturing some of the younger market too, and we talked about that in our last show. We can get into that today as well, but I'll let you go first. I know I want you to tell me why sometimes the originals destroy reissues, and why is that? I might go the opposite on you today. You might have like a real friendly debate here, but I want to hear your point of view. You've got a lot of experience collecting records, a lot of incredible originals, and I think you brought some that will blow our minds today that will probably get people buying on Discogs. Hopefully it doesn't go up in price as well, but go for it. Tell me your thoughts.
Dude, here's my thinking, right? Well, first of all, you're spot on, right? I mean, it's a giant marketing machine that has spun up from a few small select labels. I'm talking about audiophile stuff right now. I'm not talking about general albums. There you go, Fred Jones. And over the last, 30 years, 35 years, when you look at classic records back in the 90s, Chad back in the 90s, and they've now grown into just giant behemoths, right? And Mobile Fidelity, I mean, through its third or fourth iteration now, I forgot how many times they've been acquired and all that. But Jim Davis and Chad collectively own the purse strings, right? And so they show up at the labels, and they'll pluck down a chunk of cash, and all these amazing A-list artists are basically blocked out from being reissued by anyone else, right? And so the question is always, again, to your point, it's all marketing. They're all selling a product, which is
fine.
Absolutely.
I don't begrudge anyone. It's creating jobs, it's creating industry, it's creating demand, it's creating interest in our hobby. Because I mean, this is what we love to do. We talk about it. I do it once a week. You do your show. I enjoy it. I like it.
You're absolutely right. And I think, but when you broaden it out to the larger picture, we've also become a very much consumerized and consumer driven society.
Internet.
What's that?
The internet.
Yeah, totally. Right. I mean, you look at everything, it's all marketing. It's all social media. It's all, FOMO. It's all, oh, you got to have this, you got to have that. Oh, you don't have that? Oh my God, shocking. Why don't you have that?
Well, Danny, I mean, some will say that we've created that as YouTubers as well, creating that FOMO. Sure. I mean, I've had releases on here with Rhino and Impex and Intervention, somewhat creating FOMO, but that's not my intention either. It's just, I'm excited about some of these reissues. I have an opportunity with the relationships that I've built in the industry throughout all these years to have these folks on my show and showcase what they're doing.
100%. And I totally agree with you. And it's I think it's a matter of celebrating and highlighting those reissues and companies that have done a really, really good job of actually genuinely bettering what was there before. But I also think you have to look at it from the perspective of, the audiophile bubble versus vinyl in general, right? And given that these are, outside of, the big three, these are all small private companies. We don't have sales figures. We have guesstimates of what's being sold. And, I do wonder, like, what is the split between people that are buying records for the sake of buying a record, not knowing that they could get that record cheaper? You're looking at reissues now, they're $30 to $40, $50, $60.
Look at this here, Aggie. I got a Tusk as well for $1 here, Christopher's saying. So there it is, right?
There you go. That's exactly right. And you know what? That Tusk for $1,
amazing.
I mean, let's take into consideration that it's presumably a decent pressing, that it's not been played to shit. It's gonna sound great. It really is.
Don't flare out, please.
Yeah. Is the reissue gonna sound better? Maybe, possibly. How much is it worth to you? Is it worth $60 to you? It all comes down. I mean, look, so funny when you actually brought up the conversation the other day and said, hey, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's flip it upside down.
Yeah.
So I started looking at stuff and I'm like, dude, wow, this sounds better than the reissue. This is about on par with the reissue, but it costs 10% of the reissue. And so, I just clobbered together a bunch of records, literally from far and wide, from a bunch of genres that, I'm happy to show off and give you the reason why I think the original sounds better. So let me start off with.
Let me interrupt you there. So again, I want the folks to understand what you're listening for. So it's obviously dynamics, how it breathes, right? Mm-hmm. You're listening to natural mid-range versus maybe a hype treble and bass. You're listening to soundstage. So what is it? The width, the depth, the placement of the instruments in that recording. And then of course the texture, the realism of the acoustic instruments and the vocals.
Yep.
Would that be fair when you're listening to that?
That's a good point. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. And you're bang up, shame on me for not qualifying what it means to me that the reissue is better or worse than the original. And you're spot on. That's exactly it, right? To me, it's, okay, where do I feel more presence in the music? What connects me more emotionally to the music? If that's the music genre I'm listening to, right? If it's, Dean Martin, Dream with Dean. We all know that record. And the reissue does sound dramatically better than the original. Why? Because the original was cut from just the standard 1/4-inch tape, Studio Master, and Chad went and found the 3-track originals and remixed them. And of course, that's going to sound better, right? But that's far and few between. So, the guys that follow me know that one of the things I love for hi-fi, for music in general, testing equipment, listening to music, is Yello, right? Swiss duo. So I've got the 12-inch single here, which is the original. You can get this.
This is the Race.
The Race, yep. 12-inch 45. I mean, anytime I play this for people or for myself, dude, your pants are going to start flapping.
So tell us why. Tell us why my pants will be flapping.
It's explosive.
Okay.
There's dynamics on there. There's punch. You feel it's not surround sound, but with the race car going left to right, man, the way they mixed it, the way it was mastered, the way it was cut, you really feel that energy from the song coming through. And provided you've got full range speakers, and provided you've got, obviously, look, this is another thing that I think needs to be brought into account. Provided your turntable is set up correctly, right? I can't tell you how many times I've been visiting friends' places, and I'm like, wait a minute, your cartridge is not set up properly, right?
Or tone arm.
Or tone arm, or whatever, right? You're not getting the full bang of what you should be getting, because I know what this sounds like, and it doesn't sound like it. And so you have to take that into account, right? Is your turntable set up correctly? Is the cartridge set up correctly? Do you have the phono amplifier set up correctly? Provided all that is there, this is freaking insane. Not only demo, it's become demo music because of how well it is recorded.
So, Danny, that would be one that you would probably, if I was to come to your place and say, Danny, play me a record, I want to hear your system, that would be one that you would definitely play for me if I was 100%. To come by? Okay.
100%. Now, here is the reissue.
Okay, tell me about the reissue. Who reissued it? Who remastered it? Do we have any information on that? Okay, so digital. Music. It's digital.
It's digital. It came out. This is part of the whole Yello reissue series that started in 2022.
Right.
They went through all the albums and singles, some of the singles like this one because it's so popular, and they reissued it. And to your point, it's digital cut. Who knows what source they used? There's no information on it anywhere. And I doubt you'd ever even find out what it would be cut from. And, okay, does it sound impressive? It sounds impressive. If you didn't have an original to compare it to, if you didn't know how amazeballs the original sounds can sound, you put this on and you're like, oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, I get the effects. There's a punch. But then you put the original back on. And you're like, dude, it's two different worlds.
So it's more immersed. It's more 3D. It's more dimensional. Okay.
Much more. So, again, this is obviously not an audiophile reissue, right? Chad, Jim Davis, Impex had nothing to do with any of this. Nor would they ever consider, I think, reissuing something like this for the audiophile market, because at the end of the day, even though I think this is what would qualify for as an audiophile release because of the way it sounds, most audiophiles that you would play this for would be like, yeah, okay, this is fun, whatever, yeah, put on, Patsy Cline, right? So there's no money in this for them.
No.
But anyway, this was one that I pulled out, and I'm like, you know what? Just stunning. The next one is kind of similar, and it's an original UK with the gatefold cover of Alan Parsons' Pyramid. Okay, this is an original UK. I've chased this for a while. it spanks the US original, sounds way more dynamic, way punchier, way bigger image. But then I was like, you know what?
1 second, Danny. And is he still expensive? Tell the folks, like, how much would a UK Pyramid go for?
$15.
There you go.
Yeah, $15 on Discogs. And there's an abundance of them. I mean, there's no shortage of how many you can find.
There's an abundance of Alan Parsons everywhere. I mean, there's never. I mean, absolutely. I think there. Before we go further, I know that someone had posted here that iRobot has been reissued. Right, there's a $300 box set here. Right here, Tim P is saying Parsons' upcoming anniversary release of iRobot is outrageously overpriced at $300 Canadian, shipped before import fees. That's incredible for one record, $300, and that's Canadian. I mean, that's what is about $150 to $180 US if you're really? Canadian with the shipping. I mean, do you need to spend that on one record these days?
No.
Is it that much better? Is this going to be that much better than an original iRobot from the UK?
I doubt it's going to be any better. I seriously doubt it. And you know, look, iRobot has been reissued
a million times.
Right? Literally a million times. You can find original pressings. I mean, even an original US pressing is perfectly fine sounding until, of course, you get an original UK and then you're like, oh, wow, this is really good. But anyway, going back to Pyramid, right? So Pyramid, one of my favorite Parsons albums, took me a while to get the UK original. Yeah. Got it. Blown away. The punch and the dynamics that you get with this is seriously dumbfounding. But then, you know, because I'm a I'm a Parsons collector. Do I have all of the iRobot reissues? Probably not, but I've got at least 6 or 7. I've got Eye in the Sky. I've got Turn of a Friendly Card. The Classic Records is a fantastic reissue, by the way, that came out back in the 90s. But anyway, your buddy, Miles Scholl.
Half speed mastered,
right? 2 LP, 45 RPM.
Is that the Cooking Vinyl reissued that one? That's the name of the company.
That is,
I want to say.
You know, I don't
So
know.
People should say it somewhere. I believe I have that one as well.
Yes, Cooking Vinyl.
Yeah.
Cooking Vinyl. Okay. So Miles does great work. We all know that. But honestly, in this case, something's off.
Miles is given a file. It's only Miles can do only so much with whatever file he is given, and that's what he does with it.
That's exactly my point, right? Which basically is what all these mastering guys can do, right? I mean, they get a file or they get the tapes. They can either make it sound as good as, they can make it sound better, or they can completely fuck it up, right? In this case, who knows what file he got, what the provenance of that file was. Who knows what he was listening to or comparing it to. But I can tell you definitively that this 45 RPM, $60 record is not worth spending $60 on. When you can get a UK original for $15 and it'll smoke it.
You can probably buy those used now in Discogs, the Cooking Vinyl one. So less than $60, right? Well, some of the originals that, you know, I'm going back to thinking about, and we'll go back to yours in a second, but I mean, you look back on some of the Robert Ludwig stuffs, and I saw some people talking about Avalon's Roxy music, and I know Miles Scholl cut that one as well, or mastered that one as well. The original Avalon by Roxy Music, I don't think that's almost an untouchable record in terms of the sound quality and everything that you hear from that record. There's not, and you can pick those ones up for $5, $10, $15, and there's a ton of them out there. Robert Ludwig.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that one has been redone. Like you mentioned, Miles Scholl has done a lot. He did that one as well. But why do you need that one when you can go out and buy the original for less than half the price?
That's times. Exactly right. Then all you need to do is look for RL in the dead wax, and you know you got the goods, right? I mean, it's the same thing with the Donald Fagen Nightfly MoFi One Step for $125 back in the day, when, you know, you go any record store, reputable record store, you'll find an RL cut for that for, you know, $20 maybe, $25 today.
Still, it's still the same price.
Right?
Yeah.
So I love Milt Jackson. This is an original gatefold. Speaker's corner comes with the original little insert, which is kind of really nice.
That's really cool.
Yep. Beautiful, beautiful on Limelight. It took me a while to get this clean cover. So, you know, you'll find this record any day of the week, but to get it with a clean cover and with the intact insert, a little bit more difficult. Nonetheless, again, I think it was Speaker's Record that reissued this.
Speaker's Corner.
The Speaker's Corner that reissued this. And of course I bought it. And I was like, dude, this album sounds so freaking great. I wonder what an original sounds like. And guess what? Original sounds better, in my opinion.
Why,
right?
though? What are you hearing differently?
More air.
Okay.
There is more of a tactile feel. There's a little more space around everything. It just moves you more, right? And it's not one of those things where I'm sitting there. By the way, this is, I think, true for, well, not I think, I'll tell you, this is true for all the records that I'm profiling. It is not one of those things where I have to sit there and, okay, let me A-B it. Let me put the original on. No, this is definitive. I put the needle on the record, so to speak, and the drum beats go like this. Bomb the Bass, 1984, Mars. And it's like, dude, you hear it in an instant. It's not anything you have to think about. You hear it in an instant. And again, I would venture to say that anybody that would come over that I would play this for, they'd feel exactly the same way. You know why? Because every time I do that, people are like, oh, yeah. And they don't know anything about vinyl records. They're just going by what they hear. And they're like, oh, yeah, this sounds way better.
So there's no confirmation bias of those people because they really don't know. That's interesting.
Exactly.
Let me just touch on something here. Tim P just mentioned something. He goes, I hope the Supertramp Crisis, What Crisis, and I guess he would have gotten the Crime of the Century as well, aren't a disappointment. I have the test pressings that Miles Scholl sent me of both Crisis, No Crisis, and Crime of the Century, and I can tell you, and I also have the Speaker's Corner Crime of the Century, and I can tell you this. The Speaker's Corner Crime of the Century is cut hot compared to the upcoming Supertramp half speeds that Miles Scholl cut with Ken Scott right beside him, breathing down his neck. Ken wanted it to sound exactly the way it sounded in the studio. So it's definitely a lot quieter. And you know, in the very beginning of the song School, when you hear the kids sort of playing and that the guitar starts to kick in and all that, I think it's the right side of the right channel. The dB is about 2 dBs lower on Miles Scholl's than it is on my Speaker's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually asked Miles, what's going on with it? He goes, that's just the way Ken wants it, because Ken wants it to sound that way because that's the way he felt it sounded from the studio. So if you're going to compare it to Speaker's Corner, it's a tough one because Speaker's Corner is way more compressed because they didn't have Ken Scott. They just were allowed to take the tape and compress it and make it sound the way they wanted it to sound. And that's what Speaker's Corner does a lot. They a lot of compression. You're hearing that bass, and that's what a lot of people like from that label. And that's what you're going to get out of the Speaker's Corner, is a very much more compressed album of Supertramp's Crime of the Century compared to the new one. Well, not the new one, the reissue coming out in end of August.
Is this you're referring to? I mean, I think Speaker's Corner only did that album once.
Yeah,
like
I have it too.
Ago.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the copy you're
it's
talking
bloody
about.
expensive. I mean, I think they're like $300+ on Discogs. I mean, again, it's very compressed, which means you're hearing a lot. If it's especially for something like Supertramp, a compressed, if it's compressed, mastered that way, it's going to sound great to a lot of people. And I. Talking to Miles Scholl, he goes, no, Ken doesn't want it that way because it's not the way it actually sounded originally. So interesting, isn't it? So he wanted it to sound.
Did they do this from file or tape?
So I believe it. Well, I mean, it's a digital cut. So they use they use the tape and then obviously recorded that tape and half speed masters. All of Miles Scholl stuff is digital.
Oh, it is. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
He's in the process of getting a tape machine, because when I had him on the show, his big dream for the Beatles is to, the Magical Mystery Tour, the Horzo or Horzu, whatever you call it, Magical Mystery Tour album. He wants to cut that directly from tape. They have the tapes; those German tapes are in the vault right now.
Wow.
So that was his big dream, is to do that. Will it happen? Probably. Who knows? Take a million years. We'll be dead by the time that happens. Going back to the original too, and I mean, when I had Bernie Grunman on my show, go back and watch that one 3-4 years ago. It's there somewhere on my channel. When I asked him, so what are you proud of? What are some of the records that you're most proud of? He goes, Michael Jackson's Thriller was one of them, the original that Bernie Grunman cut. Mm-hmm. He says in his career is what, 50, 60 years, Michael Jackson Thriller comes up as one of the ones he's most proud of. I think he had Quincy Jones in the studio with him as well when they were mastering that. Which
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. I mean, look, Bernie is a legend, right? Right up there. I mean, right up there. When you look at his catalog of what he's done, going back to the Concord days and going back to the 60s and probably even late 50s. I think, what was it? Trying to remember. Anyway, I mean, the guy's a legend, right? And so for him to call out Thriller, that must be really special. And by the way, again, there's been numerous videos pumped out online of the MoFi one-step Thriller reissue. And again, it's one of I didn't pull it out because I was like, you know what, it's been talked about to death. But since you brought it up, I've got a Hot Poker original, and
otherwise known as a hot stamper. Okay.
I'll be honest, it spanks the MoFi. The MoFi has maybe more detail and clarity, but it lacks the foundation of the original Thriller, at least the copy that I have. It lacks the, when Vincent Price does his little chat, man, his voice, it's like the reverberation that you hear, right? And the inclinations, it's just a whole different level. So the MoFi isn't bad. It's just, dude, why did I spend $130 on it?
And that was that record is the most, sold the most records in any album in the history of the world. So it's readily available, or OGs around there, probably at garage sales, probably in bins somewhere. You can find original Thrillers any day of the week for cheap.
Yep, absolutely. Here's another one that I pulled.
Before we go forward, Chris is saying he likes APPI in the Sky on Speaker's Corner. I mean, again, I want to say Speaker's Corner, they compress. A lot of compression on all their remastering reissues. So you're hearing that, and that's probably what you like. A lot of these engineers, mentioning Ken Scott, don't like the compression as much, right? I mean, it's not the way it sounded in the studio. So that's what you're hearing a lot of the Speaker's Corner. I like my Speaker's Corner. I think they do a great job. By the way, from all the ones that I have not heard one that I don't like. Sorry, go ahead, Danny.
No worries. By the way, I see Leland is getting his gold.
I just got that. There you go, the gold finger.
So Leland, order. It's not. I don't know if it's going to come out on vinyl. I doubt it. But I just ordered, based on how Amazeball's Goldfinger sounds, I just ordered the CD of Moonraker and On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So I'm super stoked to hear those. I mean, if it's anywhere near as good as what they did with Goldfinger, it should be freaking spectacular.
Amazing.
And that's the end of the show. Thank you all for tuning in.
Wow, we did it all in half an hour.
So I love Peggy Lee. Absolutely love Peggy Lee. I like Men. Look at that. Classic, capital, monophonic. It's compatible with stereophonic style records. Pickup arms. So this is a mono original. Cover is a little beat up, split seams, whatever.
I don't see the back. Let's see the back of it. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's got like pictures of like stick figure people or something.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's all men. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Did she draw that herself, you think, or is it?
Hell knows. Yeah.
That's a very interesting back cover, actually. Wow.
Does it say? No, it doesn't. Produced by Dave Cavanaugh. It doesn't. Peggy Lee. Too bad. It does. No, F. Page. Caricatures by F. Page. So good going, F. Page.
I like F. Page.
Franklin Page, Frederick Page, Felix Page. Who the hell knows? But yeah, good stuff. So there's a couple of these that have been found their way to various reissues that have, you know, spawned out over the last couple of decades. But I tell you one thing, I play this, and again, it's kind of like the Dream with Dean. $17. There you go. It's kind of like the Dream with Dean. She's in the room. It's mono, but man, you get layers and layers, and you get depth.
And she has good genes.
Yes, and you get. I mean, dude, it's okay. So you don't have the stereo schmaltz effects, which, you know, being that this is an early '60s record, would have been all over the place. Pan hard left, pan hard right. But it's just a beautiful sounding record. It's quiet. It took me a while to find a quiet copy. I'm sure she sold boatloads of these, so they're around, but finding a quiet copy is probably going to be a bit of a challenge. But again, you know, could this be reissued to make it sound better? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe the tapes are gone. Maybe there's only safety copies. Maybe there, who the hell knows, right? All I know is I put this on and I compare it to any of the reissues that feature some of the songs on here, and it's night and day difference. Night and day difference. When you guys started talking about Supertramp, I got a kick out of it because I actually pulled up this Supertramp. Such a freaking phenomenal record. Absolutely bonkers. Hot, dynamic, punchy. It's got grit. It's got shove. And, of course, it's got that hit Cannonball. Dude.
I like that shove. I love that description.
Yes. Dude, put on Cannonball. And there's, by the way, I also have the 12-inch 45 of Cannonball. But put on Cannonball, and you're going to be like, dude, again, provided everything else, as we discussed, is right, your setup is correct, you got everything dialed in, this is going to flap your pants, guys. Seriously, and ladies. Skirts, I guess, for ladies. Well, they wear pants these days, too. Plus, it's cool, man. Look at it. Embossed cover, back and front. You know, why has no one ever reissued this?
Is the label just an A&M label? What does the label look like if you pull it?
Yeah, A&M, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
A&M. Beautiful, beautiful record. It's killer, man. It's absolutely killer. Original, again, dime a dozen. You can find this.
I see those all the time.
Any day of the week. For no money at all.
Manfred's saying the same thing. His album is totally underrated, in my opinion.
Yes.
Cannonball sounds great, Chris says.
Yes, Cannonball. Get the 12-inch 45 of Cannonball. Easy to find, relatively.
He's sucking up right now. He likes your style. Likes that ascot.
Ooh, baby.
Tim agrees too.
Okay. Now, here's one for the ages. Okay.
Should he do a drum? We need a drum roll intro, or are we good?
I think you need a drum roll intro. I think you need a full-on Danny Kaye intro.
Oh boy. It's that good.
Because it completely floored me. Literally floored me. And that does not happen often these days. In my young age of 54. You want to see it?
I don't know. Does anyone want to see it?
A little backdrop. In college, we played the shit out of this, right? It was a banger. Everybody loved it. And of course, it's none other than the Cult Love. Okay, but why is this one special? Well,
why is it special?
So first of all, in the U.S., this was on Sire Records. But this is the original UK gatefold with embossed cover. Hard to find, even harder to find in pristine condition like this one is. Now, let me tell you something, guys. You put on any version of this album that is not the original First Press UK, and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, this sounds great. Okay, cool. Bang, 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 drums, da, 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 da. You put on this UK and you will hear the first time ever what this record is supposed to sound like. Trust me on it. It completely trounces any other issue of this album. And I've got about 5 of them. At first I thought, okay, maybe I got a shitty pressing. Maybe I got, maybe this one's cleaner. Dude, you put this on and it's insane. Now, a friend of mine bought the reissue that came out not long ago. Maybe a year or so, 2 years ago, something like that. And he brought it over. This was just recently. And I mean, dude, no comparison.
Yeah.
None. No comparison. And he spent $35 on it on eBay. And I'm like, dude, you could have bought an original US pressing for $10 and would have probably sounded better than what you got the reissue for. But guys, if you really want insane sounding record with bass, with punch, with dynamics, you got to get the original UK. Stunning. Now,
Dakota agrees with you there.
Look at that. Here's one. Here's another one that I found, right? I'm just going through random stuff. XTC, English Settlement, UK original. US pressing, okay. Again.
You think it was probably different tapes used, right?
For sure.
The XTC, English Settlement, and the US version, I would think.
For sure. I would assume so, right? Okay. And I mean, again, all other things being equal, perspective is the mother of all clarity, right? It just trounces the US or any reissue that I've ever heard. It just trounces it. There's punch, there's dynamic, there's shove, there's bass, there's an image. And this is, okay, this is not quite a pop record, but dude, it freaking has balls. Let me tell you something. Seriously. Killer record.
No one's disagreeing with you, Danny.
There you go. Look at that.
So let me stop you there for a second as well, okay. Right? Because, I mean, you got lots there. I know in terms of originals that I think will never be beat. We can talk, of course, we talked Robert Ludwig already, but Led Zeppelin 2, the hot cut there that Led Zeppelin did in 1969 of Led Zeppelin 2. I mean, in terms of explosive dynamics, I mean, I have that copy as well. That will never be beat. Led Zeppelin 2, the Robert Ludwig cut, the hot cut.
Agreed.
And that's another one. I have that in my collection. What else do I have? Oh yeah. Well, of course, the Pink Floyd, the UK Harvest Solid Blue Triangle, the 73 first pressing, UK. Probably can't be beat. I don't think many people would disagree with me there. Would you disagree with that?
No, I think you're right. Again, I mean, look, I keep going back to it, which I think is one of those things that you get with experience, right? Yeah. We just talked about that before we launched the show, right? There is something about, I've been collecting records now for 25 years, right? And I've learned a ton. At first, I was the kid with, big wide eyes. Oh, I'm going to every record fair, but I'll pick up whatever I can get my hands on, not knowing anything, right? Not knowing about which pressing to look for, which cover to look for. Is this the first pressing, the third, whatever pressing? Is this a hot stamp?
You didn't even know about matrix numbers. That's the same as me. Nothing at all. Nothing. This is 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Exactly, right? And I'm listening and I'm like, oh man, this sounds amazing. This is great. And then my buddies would come over. And that's when I started writing for Positive Feedback back in 2001. And they're like, oh, dude, yeah, this is good, but you got to hear this original, or you got to hear the UK original, or the Albanian original, whatever. And I'm like, really? Does that make any difference? Oh, dude, trust me. And so it's all these things that you learn through experience. There's a reason why generals in general, no pun intended,
No.
are not 25-year-old kids, right? They've got experience. They're like, dude, you got to go through seasons in life to learn, to consume, to absorb, to get educated on. And I see a lot of these, kids on TV, so to speak, on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, it's just.
But here's the problem with that, Danny. Their audience isn't our demographic.
Correct.
That's the issue.
Correct.
So they're preaching to a different choir than us. I mean, our demographic here in my show or your show is, let's just put it, 40 to 45 to 65. I mean, I know that based on the demographics that YouTube shows me.
Yep.
So I know our demographics. So definitely I get a few younger than that, but mostly the percentages are the, what would it be? Gen X and baby boomer. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And dude, experience trumps everything. I mean, I'm sorry, but it does. And you can't overnight absorb the wealth of knowledge that people, and dude, look, the truth is, as much as I know about music, it pales in comparison to what my mentors that I have in this industry know about music, really, right? It's like, dude, I'm like this little kid, and they're like their vast encyclopedic knowledge of stuff.
And that's why, right? I mean, that's why I put this show together as well, because I wanted to absorb as much as I can, having all these people from the industry that have the Bernie Grunmans have 60 years of experience, of just mastering records or recording, having the Kevin Grays on, who's got 50 years, of experience, so we can learn from that. That's why I wanted to do this show and put these shows together for everyone to learn, including myself. I mean, I've been collecting records since 1985. I mean, when I was 12 years old. So it's been a long time. But again, you need that experience as well. And when we first started collecting records, I had no idea about a Robert Ludwig hot cut. Who knew about that? Come on.
Right.
No one knew about that. But getting back to, another probably stuff that Bernie Grunman's proud of, Steely Dan Asia, AB 1006, the 77 early AB Matrix, Bernie Grunman cut. How about the Dire Straits, Love Over Gold, the UK Vertigo?
Yep.
I have that one as well.
Yes.
David Bowie, Hunky Dory, the UK original, 1971. Another incredible sounding one. The Who, Who's Next? The UK. I think it's the what would it be? Can't remember now, but the UK original, the first lacquer. You got to get the first lacquer. It just fills the room with sound. Those are the ones that I have as originals that cannot be beat. Agreed.
And frankly, the time has run out for them to be beat at any point in the future, right? I mean, the A, you're never going to get the tapes again. B, who knows what conditions those tapes are in, even if you were able to get them.
Didn't we have a show? Weren't you on the show last week where I was right out to asking Sony straight up? I say, hey, why don't we just do one-to-one transfers for us audiophiles? There's still a market out there. And you were mentioning, well, these, the staff changes and people, every 5 years you get younger people in, which is actually quite scary in a way, which means what happens in 5 more years with the Sony library if you got 30-year-olds coming in who have no idea who Supertramp is or who the Rolling Stones are, for example. I mean, do they really care? And they're looking at analytics, they're looking at AI going, who's our demographic, who's our market, who's going to buy this, is what we're going to do, because all of their salary and their bonuses are based on profits. Remember that. Absolutely,
which goes back to our original point that we're living in a constant marketing machine. Right.
But we have been since the Industrial Revolution, really.
Yes, we have. But I think the internet, making it sound like the internet was invented a year ago. It's obviously been around for at least 2.
I thought it was 3, 4, 4 maybe.
Pushing it. Look, social media, COVID, being locked up, boxed up, all we had was our damn computer screens as a connection,
and some asshole YouTubers such as us going on there talking about
records. Oh, you gotta have this, you gotta have that, right? And look, it's a trap that you easily fall into, right? You easily fall into it because you're consumed. What's that old adage, right? It's hard not to be a devil amongst devils, right? It's, you get consumed by it. You get sort of, hyped into it, and you become part of that whole gear system that turns out, like you said, profit, profit, profit. And then you take a step back from it and you're like, wait a second, that Katie Lied MCA that I have, that's an original. I don't know what pressing it is. Maybe it's the third, fifth, who knows? Sounds pretty damn good.
The tape was fresh.
I do not need the UHQR for $150, right?
But some people are completists, though, Danny, so they want that, and I respect that. And I mean, still, the UHQRs do sound pretty damn good. I've got the Asia UHQR. It sounds great.
Sure.
I've got the AB 1006, which sounds fantastic, which is cheap. I have the Kevin Gray Asia from, I think it was not Impex. Help me out with this one. The other one before Impex. Cisco. This is one that Cisco did. Sounds fantastic as well. You went blank there for a second.
You did too.
Well,
the Matrix. Shit. They're onto us.
There you go.
Down. What was another one that I wanted to highlight? Okay, here's one of my favorites. Don't Give Up, 12-inch 45. Peter Gabriel,
Kate Bush. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love that. I really love that song.
You are not going to find a better sounding version of this song, period. Take my word for it. Trust me. Seriously. Look it up. Get the original UK 12-inch. I mentioned this last show too. I don't know, and I would love to find out why UK singles on 12 inches were always done at 45, and in the US, they were always done at 33. I don't know why.
I know why.
Why?
Maybe the UK, they're just more sophisticated in their audiophile listening. They knew 45 sounded better.
Who knows? Maybe. I mean, considering this came out in 87 or 86, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter.
It was probably a marketing thing. They looked at it in the US. Oh, people were not as interested in 12-inch 45 singles at the time.
These were all DJ releases, right?
Yeah,
for the most part, right? And all the DJs had 1200s with 45 in pitch slider. But anyway, going back to this song, Don't Give Up, when that double bass at the end hits, man, you're not going to find a better sounding copy of this. I don't care who reissues it. I don't care what level of reissue it is. It's not going to sound any better than this.
I do from an original. I do have the Peter Gabriel original So 1986 that was actually cut by Bernie Grundman. That's only the Canadian copy. So if you go back on Discogs, I have the Bernie Grundman, which sounds fantastic.
Brian Morgan just said, I think it's because radio stations in the US relied on 33 promos.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep, good point, Brian.
Promos. Yeah, oh my gosh. Promos.
That's right.
And the Max is the same thing. They were created for radio DJs and DJs in clubs, and they had to be robust, and they were cut very loud, which is true. They were cut loud. I mean, that was part of it as well. Before you go further, I know we've been talking, we've been talking a lot about rock or pop or whatever, but we don't talk a lot about jazz. And I was just thinking too, a couple that I don't own this one particular, but the original tube mastered of Miles Davis kind of blue on that, 6i Columbia 59, either mono or stereo. Come on. I bet you that one, if you get a clean copy, sounds out of this world. Would you agree? Definitely.
Absolutely. I would even venture to say and add like an early or mid 70s pressing of it.
Yeah.
It's probably going to smoke anything else that's come out recently. Just the tapes are newer, right? There's more air. There's more presence. There's, they futzed around with stuff less. I mean, you mentioned earlier, the equipment is better today.
But more tubey back then, of course.
Correct. Right? Yes, the equipment is better today, but what does that really mean? Right. In the sense of recreating the sound of something that came out 60 years ago. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
You mentioned Bernie Grundman many times.
Yeah.
He has or had the two different cutting chains. One was all solid state and the other one was tube based, I think, or there was a tube component in one of them that wasn't in the other. And, I remember talking to someone and they were like, oh, we got test pressings cut on both chains and the tube one just sounds more magical. It has that magic something in it. So, does that apply across the board? Does that mean it's relevant for every reissue that's going to be out? No, it doesn't, right? It's all, you look at pressing plants, you take it even one step, it's like peeling the layers of an onion, right?
You're going to make me cry, Danny.
I know. You look at pressing plants, right? Why are there variances between stampers and between pressings? Well, have you ever seen a pressing plant? Dude, it's not a surgical center, right? It's oily, it's greasy. The guy operating it, did he even smoke 2 hours ago and there's still nicotine on his fingers that somehow ended up in the press, right? I mean, who the hell knows, right? Was he eating his pickle sandwich? There's so many things that impact the pressing of a record. What was the temperature of the furnace? Was it a particularly hot day that day?
We can go into like a complete rabbit hole of variables. That's for sure.
Totally. And you know what? At this level,
yeah,
it all makes a difference, right? It all makes a difference. So anyway, here, let me pull up, I just real quick, same thing with Yello 1 second. This is the reissue from 2022. This is an original. Take your guess as to which one I think sounds better. Obviously the original. And one more, which is kind of an interesting side story. So I love Goldfrapp, Alison Goldfrapp, right? This is, I think, one of her finest albums.
Felt Mountain.
Yes. This should have been, what's the song? Hang on. Pilots should have been a James Bond song. It really should have.
Really?
Oh, totally. It's got that air. It's got that, it should have been a James Bond song. Anyway, what is this going to sound like in 30 years? Is anyone going to reissue this in 30 years or 50 years? What are they going to reissue it from? Obviously the digital files. This is a full-on digital recording. What is this going to sound like? I probably won't be around to find out. But,
that's the thing we were talking about last show. And again, this show in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, we'll be a lot older. Yep. But the next generation that comes up I want the next generation, maybe they'll look back on these shows in 20 years of what are these guys talking about? But I'm scared that's all going to be digital in 20 years. Where there's going to be no analog chain. And it's like, guys,
no doubt.
Come on. That's why we have to continue pushing. And there is a market for it. The sound is better as well. It's more natural. Like you're saying, a lot of it's more tubey. Going back to a lot of these old jazz records, right? I mean, look at the John Coltrane, the Blue Train. The Blue Train, I think that was the U.S. Blue Note from 1957. It's a Rudy Van Gelder. I mean, that's, those are the records that it has that tubey sort of natural sound to it. Yep. Those original jazz recordings, I mean, those are the ones. I don't think any of the reissues ever can beat. They're trying to beat. They're trying to get as close as possible, but those are the ones that will blow you away. And a lot of that those original jazz records are not that expensive, and they were hardly played.
Yep. Hey man, if we could only time travel, go back and pick up all those Blue Notes, go back and next generation will abandon vinyl. Probably. I mean, who the hell knows?
Daniel's saying the next generation will abandon vinyl. I mean, that means what these shows, hopefully these shows will one day 20, 30 years from now go, this Audiophile Roundtable, they were onto something back then.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that, funny enough, that's another aspect of this whole thing, right? I mean, it's like it's on YouTube, it's on forever, right? Presumably.
So maybe in 30 years, if I'm still alive at 80 years old, Mr. Westman, can you come on the show? I'll be like, I remember doing that. Can you imagine?
That's right. Hey,
That
how
would be
did you
funny.
guys get a hold of these original tapes?
Yeah.
They're locked up in some mountain vault somewhere. No one will ever have access to them again, right? Who knows?
But I mean, okay, these tapes it's like becomes hoarding after a while. So what's the point of having them?
Yep.
I don't get it.
Yep. Hey, it's like all the movies that are being reissued and redone for 4K. By the way, did you see total sidebar, because we're getting to the end of time anyway? Did you see the new Tron original HDR 4K 8K rescanned?
No, definitely not.
Crap, man. Dude, unbelievable what they've done. Unbelievable. I think it's coming out with the third installment later this year in October or November, when it is. They're going to come out with like a triple box. But dude, that original never looked better, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, what's it all mean, Basil? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, that's the thing. It's like a hoarding thing. So you have all these tapes. I mean, Daniel, I'll put it back up again. He's saying the next generation will abandon vinyl. Well, they maybe not abandon vinyl, but just abandon the source and say, you know what, digital's fine, and not look at the sources. I mean, what can you do?
I mean, for look, let's face it. I said this at the beginning of the show. We're such a niche.
Yeah. But it's an important niche, though, too, because it does make money. You look at Mobile Fidelity, you look at Analog Productions, you look at Rhino Hi-Fi now, it's in the game, Impex. I mean, you look at Intervention Records with Shane. There's a market. And it's not going away. I mean, sure, the demographic, they're probably looking at it. These 30-year-olds are in charge looking at it going, well, these guys are going to die off in 5 or 10 years, but there's still a market for it. You look at the Beatles. I mean, they just released their mono box set right there again, which a lot of people aren't happy about because it's sold out in a New York minute, but it's happening.
I still have my original from 2014.
That's mine there.
There you go.
Wasn't, now it's, not as much money on Discogs, right? Or I don't even know if it's as much as it was because the new one came out. We still haven't determined how many they've pressed of the 2025 mono box. No one seems to know
how many they pressed originally?
I have no idea. I've done a lot of research on that one, from previous shows people have been watching. I've always speculated around 20 to 30,000 of those.
Yeah.
So on the new one, I'm speculating 50 or 5 to 10,000.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, again, speculation. Hit that like button. Thank you.
That's right. Smash it like you mean it.
Great stream, Steve and Danny. Thanks for the info on Speakers Corner compression. Steve, I had no idea. Yeah, if you listen to that, really compressed. That's the one thing. And Miles Scholl and I were having a chat about that one as well when I talked to him a lot. I talked to a lot of the mastering engineers a lot. And that brings me to this point. And I don't know the date, but you guys are going to love this. Speaking of my involvement in the industry and my relationships, I'm going to have a show where there's going to be no host. I'm not even going to be on. So maybe that's just going to screw me, right? But I'm going to have, once it's confirmed, we figure it all out, but we're going to have Kevin Gray and Chris Spellman on, just like you and I are on, and answering questions with no host for an hour.
Cool is that?
Isn't that no one's ever done that before? That'll be cool.
I'm gonna watch that for sure. I'm very curious.
So I don't know the date yet, but I will be in the background. I'll probably put up the questions, but that'll be a live stream, hopefully sooner than later. Bellman, Gray, talking about mastering techniques.
Whoa,
whew,
dude!
Must watch live Audiophile Roundtable if you ask me. But look at this here, Mac. I haven't read this yet. I'm reading this live as well. Sadly, in 10 to 20 years, how many analog masters will be left? Look at all the digital bandages being added, new releases, Doors, Fleetwood Mac, etc. What are record companies waiting for? Their audiences are dying off. That goes back to my point. I know someone put it up there. Led Zeppelin, audiophile box set through Rhino, which will only be Rhino if it ever has to happen. That needs to happen because, their audience is dying out. And this is the thing, too. There's a lot more people on Earth. So 30, 40, 50 years ago, There's less people and less options for music as well. It wasn't as broad as it is today. So the generation, someone was saying, well, there's always going to be a big market for the Beatles. Yes and no. The generation is dying out that were big Beatles fans. There's more of the generation, baby boomers dying than the new fans of the Beatles. That's just fact. So this is the time. Led Zeppelin, we know the Beatles are doing it to capitalize on it. If I was Jimmy Page, I would say, look, this is a lot of money. Why wouldn't I do this for my grandchildren, my great grandchildren? Sure, they have a lot of money anyways, but this just adds it on, because in 5 or 10 years or 15 years, how many people are going to be buying Led Zeppelin box sets? Not as many as today. Right now is the time. This is the time to do it. 5 years from now, the demographic will change. We know a lot of people in the industry that sell records. A lot of people are starting to sell records now. They're getting too old. They don't want the collection. They want to get some money out of it, start traveling, give it to the grandkids, that type of thing. So we're Danny, we're seeing that, being in this industry, we're seeing that on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So I think now is the time for these bands that are 50, 60 years old to start this.
Agreed. Yeah, I think you're spot on.
Here's a fellow. I'm a former Winnipegger, Dean, so thank you. The record show I attended here in Winnipeg, I feel the attendees are verging on a 60-40 split, with 40% being 30 years of age or under. Okay. But they don't have the experience. That's our point.
Right.
I've been collecting records longer than these people have been alive. Exactly. And I'm only 50 years old.
And who knows what they're playing it on. And let's face it, if we're talking about all these differences in sound quality, it presumes that you have, no pun intended, a high fidelity playback system available to you, right? You're not going to hear these differences if you're playing them back on a $50 Crosley Walmart special next day air delivery system, right? So it's all connected. I mean, it's all connected. Everything influences everything else. So you can't take things out of context, and you can't look at things in a vacuum. Right? It's all connected, and it all has to sort of correlate to one another. Otherwise, dude, who cares? Just put on your AirPods and listen to that too, which sounds great, by the way. I do it every day.
And then the AirPod thing too, with the streaming, a lot of music today is mastered and mixed to really sound well with AirPods.
Yep.
Would you disagree with that? Apple's definitely doing that.
No, they've done a bang-up job. I tell you, Dolby Atmos with AirPods is freaking amazing. It's the best I've ever heard any headphone sound. And frankly, they were not able to do that, technologically speaking, 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And so when I listen to headphones, I only listen to my AirPods. It sounds way better, provided it's a Dolby Atmos mix, right? But it's remarkable how much they're spending. So I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I have little birdies that every now and then tell me stuff.
Tweet.
Yes. And these little birdies have been telling me that Apple Music has been spending quite a bit of money with studios to remaster and remix original multi-tracks into Dolby Atmos mixes. So there's that, right? Which obviously that'll never come out on vinyl.
So again, it's about marketing, right? So they're making money off their iPods.
Yep.
This is all this is. It might not be as much. Apple is not making the money off of the actual music as much as they are off their equipment. So these iPods are trying to sell at $350 a pop to the younger generation, who would probably rather save their money, or only, maybe they only have $350, so they'd rather buy these iPods and go out and buy a decent system like we have. So that's the challenge too going forward. So it's the companies as well, such as Apple and Amazon and Spotify to an extent as well, that that the physical media is up against in terms of the overall, challenges here, I feel. So that's going to be interesting going forward as well, to see where this all leads. I'm just concerned what happens in 5 or 10 years. Will this show even be around in 5 or 10 years, Danny? I don't know. What will we talk about?
Why be around in 5?
Can you imagine if there were? Can you imagine it would just be talking about streaming? Oh my God, this stream was amazing. I went to Spotify and heard this mixer. Oh my gosh, the Dolby Atmos on this one blew my mind. The 3D surround. You know what I mean? Like, that's all we're going to be talking about. It would be not a lot of people wanting to watch that, probably.
You never know. Although I will say CDs are slowly coming back in popularity.
Why is that? Because it's cheaper, it's easy, you don't have to flip the record, you can sit back, it's laziness.
Man, yeah. I think we're getting into an age where, and by that I don't mean like physical age, I just mean like a season in life where people are sick and tired of not having anything in their hands, right? And I mean, gosh, you can pick up CDs for dirt cheap.
$2, $3 originals.
Absolutely. I mean, right. And some of them sound absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Before they got into like the loudness wars though. So if you get, I mean, going back, I know we've talked about it, but right behind me is a Sgt. Pepper 1987 George Martin. That's an incredible sounding CD.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible sounding. You're going to hear things on that CD, and those are cheap CDs to get that you probably haven't heard on just your normal Capitol Sgt. Pepper record.
Yep.
If you're not really a big collector of the Beatles, get that one. You'll be blown away by it, because it wasn't really cut hot. It's not a really compressed. I think it was just the way it sounded in the studio that George Martin wanted to capture, and that's what you're hearing on that 87 Sgt. Pepper CD.
Yep.
My opinion. I don't think many would argue that.
No, I think you're spot on.
Sometimes. Okay, we're going to leave it at that. We promised an hour. Danny, have a great day. Everyone that's watching, this was a great stream today, of course. Had a lot of fun. We're going to do it again. And hopefully I'll get Chris Bellman and Kevin Gray on the show for a non-moderated hour of conversation.
Look forward to it. I'm definitely going to watch it. Can't wait.
I might even watch that one too. We'll have to see.
We should have a watch party.
There you go. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Ciao.